In the early 1914s, when the news of her medical career was flowering, journalists realized that a quote from her was so rare that they simply published her declines for interviews. "My story is a very tame tale," she wrote to Henrietta Marchiel of Harper's Bazaar. "Just the account of a person who made a shift in her interests." But was that just a simple shift in interest and a simple account of an ex-person? Hi everyone, I am Rebecca Storto and I'm here to introduce you the lives of Justine Johnstone, a prior-to Follies girl and film actress who took an unexpected turn to medical research when retired from acting. Justine Johnstone was not only a big name but also a big story. She was such a beautiful girl of such an intelligence and veracity who became a creative, well-balanced woman with a superb survival skills. Her main interest was undeniably the stage. She managed to become one of the best actresses and showgirls at that moment, thanks to her being clever and her being smart, even though, according to most, her popularity had nothing to do with anything except her ability to look pretty. Her theatrical career was successful, but her intellectual curiosity created tangential pathways. She became a devotee of Darwin and developed an interest in physiology. Many were surprised not to find a giggly, compliant showgirl, but a frank, level-headed young woman. "I would much rather be considered intelligent than handsome," she says. Justine was characteristically blunt. She was proclaimed the most beautiful woman at a certain point of her life, and we know that as soon as a girl is called a beauty, it's assumed she has no brains. She comes from a hard-working, self-respecting Scandinavians, Gustav and Sofia, people who have some imagination as well as brains, she says. While playing the Hennepin Orpheum in Minneapolis in July, Justine was asked to write a beauty column. She agreed and offered up her preference for advice that was far more women's health than glamour. And so, calling on her anatomy studies, she endorsed nourishing food and deep breathing to facilitate blood circulation. For the heart is the pump which sends the blood out to the extremities of our bodies and so keeps all the body cells alive and healthy, pointed out. If the editor wanted hair and makeup tips for this beauty column, he didn't get them, for sure. In the spring of 1919, Justine made an announcement. She would never again appear in another musical. It was around that time that Justine was looking for something different, something real like science. And so she began to read heavy books filled with complex terminology. Due to her involvement in the anti-vivisectionist movement of the time, a doctor friend said to her, "Before you can argue these points, you should know something about it." And that was the really reason why she began taking courses at Columbia University. Justine quickly became hooked on medical research. Medicine was her passion, and it also became something of a mission. In September 1928, Dr. Sam Hirschfield was exploring the pharmacology and toxicology of melanin. He partnered on the Melanin Project with his colleague Dr. Harold, another pharmacology professor of Columbia University. But in order to conduct their whole research, they needed both funds and help, especially funds. That was that hard because at the time many thought that cancer was a form of venereal disease, so no one single donor wanted his name affiliated with cancer. But Justine certainly offered to help in the lab and to contribute in the funding. It was the beginning of her career that would be described pathologist, scientific researcher, and scientist, even though she had no college degree. But even though she wasn't a college graduate, she did the work of a medical research scientist and did it well too. She reported to Dr. Leib Pharmacology Lab. One of her first tasks involved phytopharmacology. That was like the study of drugs on plant life. And she got results. Dr. Leib was impressed so much that Justine was approved for permanent employment. Her salary? $0. She was doing it just for the joy of doing it. A beautiful girl who studied chemistry and helped in the discovery of a cure, the syphilis one, as important as the one Marie Curie discovered, hailed the journalist Walter Winchell. Justine worked with biochemistry professor David Appelman in closing out Sam's lab work at UCLA. Sam and Dr. Appelman had been collaborating with Justine's X-ray project, lead doctor on examination of enzyme activities and melanin production in cancerous blood cells. But after Sam's death, information about Justine's work in medical research disappeared. She would have been a stubborn lady. Some would call her a feminist, but not in a go man the towers kind of way. Just a very strong-willed person who wouldn't back down at slights. She has been her own woman, and for that we are all grateful to her.